This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, we now bring you a discussion on Union Cabinet decisions. The participants are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and AIR special correspondent Mattu J.P. Singh.
In cabinet decisions today, decisions pertaining to space assets and animal husbandry among others were taken with a call for increased private participation in these areas. Shekharji, if we talk about animal husbandry first, Cabinet approved Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Fund of Rs 15,000 crores, which will provide 3% interest subvention to eligible beneficiaries. And this decision is also expected to create 35 lakh jobs. What is your take on this?
No, this is a very important announcement, which is actually cabinet approval for already, which was announced by the finance minister when the 20 lakh crore scheme was announced as part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan stimulus package. So today the cabinet has approved creating Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund because the government had promised 50,000 crore allocation and that has been done by creating a special fund. Now, government had already approved this Dairy Infrastructure Development Fund worth 10,000 crore earlier for incentivizing investment by cooperative sector for development of dairy infrastructure. Now, this Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund is basically to help creating infrastructure in dairy, meat processing and animal feed plants. Now, this is very important because these are seen as activities closer to agriculture. The idea is there should be more capital flow into these areas so that you can create some of the required plants, whether it is bottling plant or whether it is a food processing plant. So this fund can be utilized by the farmer producer organizations, MSMEs, even private companies, even individual entrepreneurs can take money from this with only 10% margin money they have to do. And the balance would be provided as a loan component by these scheduled banks with this infrastructure fund standing as a guarantee. So this is a very important thing which they have done because whoever is eligible for this, government will provide 4% interest subvention also, particularly if they are from those aspirational districts. Basically, the Prime Minister has often said that there is a huge potential that has to be unlocked through private sector investment in animal husbandry sector. So this Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Fund will actually encourage private investors to make use of the availability of capital to meet upfront investment required for these projects. What is the importance of this investment is that a lot of these beneficiaries are going to be those who are actually involved in production. Since almost 50 to 60% of the final value of the dairy product output in India is seen to be going back to the farmers. So growth in this sector is believed to have a significant direct impact on farmers' income. So therefore the government has decided that to start with there should be 15,000 crores which will be operated through this newly created fund. The idea is with government providing so much of money, the private sector will be encouraged to take loans from the banks, and this will also help farmers also to invest their inputs so that there is a higher productivity. And the most important thing is this area has such a huge potential. This infrastructure can help in creating direct and indirect livelihood jobs. I mean livelihood opportunities for about 35 lakh people. So this is a very important decision and it is part of that Prime Minister's objective of Atmanirbhar Bharat.
In fact, if we take it further, along with creating jobs, it is also expected to boost exports. We also heard in the briefing that the minister talked about talks with EPIDA as far as organic meat processing was concerned. So it's a big step towards exports also.
Exactly, because the private sector is involved in a big way in exporting meat products. One of the factors that has been hindering the growth of this is availability of capital. Now with the government stepping in and coming with this animal husbandry infrastructure development, banks should not have a difficulty in financing any viable schemes and farmers can get together, they can have their own farmer producer organizations or small MSMEs can come and all that they need is only 10% of the margin money they have to come from that side and the balance of 90% would be the loan component which will be provided by the scheduled bank. So the whole idea is the rural India is galvanized to look at this sector and go for investment so that jobs will be created and farmers will directly benefit in terms of income generation and their productivity.
If we talk about another major decision in the space sector, there was a decision taken at boosting private sector participation in the entire range of space activities. The newly created Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center is going to provide a level playing field for private companies to use Indian space infrastructure. How do you see the role of this agency along with the role of ISRO?
ISRO is the parent organization, which is the parent body. And this body, over the last 50 years, we have seen has made tremendous progress, developed a lot of indigenous capability in terms of space application technology. The Prime Minister has been of the view that transforming India and making countries self-reliant requires that our technology is further advanced. And India is among a handful of countries with advanced capabilities in space sector. So this is to see that somehow institutional mechanism is created and the private sector is roped in. Because the idea is that the industry can be an important player in the global space economy. So therefore, today's decision is to create this in-space, which will help fully utilizing the capability of the ISRO and as well as helping private entrepreneurs to look into this field, because there are two areas, as Minister of State was saying today, what can be done for boosting private sector. One is launch capability, which is ISRO's own, the kind of launch capability that ISRO has deployed. The second is what is beyond the launch capability, that is extra launch capability is what can be done. And the other thing is the scientific applications. So where the private sector can also play a big part. So the idea is that there will be this in-space which will enable the private sector to use the Indian space infrastructure, and it will also guide them through the space activities by coming with policies and regulatory environment. Now, the other organization that is going to be set up is the new Space India Limited, which is also going to be public sector enterprises, which is going to see that our space assets, whether it's the launching pads or whether our rocket capabilities, these are made optimum use with the help of the private sector. So one of the points that the MOS Jitendra Singh Ji was saying was, we already have a huge training program for space scientists and space engineers at the Indian Institute of Space Technology at Thiruvananthapuram. And a lot of our students who pass out from there, 100% of them get jobs in India. And many of them are also recruited by organizations like NASA. But at the same time, there has been a concern that these students would not be going abroad if we can fully utilize the talent within the country. So that this measure is also one way of preventing brain drain. That objective in mind, today these two new organizations are sought to be created. First, you will have to create a demand-driven model where our space applications can be commercialized. Recently, we saw in the US how NASA has entered into an agreement with a private organization to send more people into space. So similarly, today the cabinet has gone in for reforms that will allow ISRO to focus more on research and development activities and as well as exploration missions and human space missions. But at the same time, this will also open up the private sector through a mechanism which will give them an idea of what kind of opportunities are waiting for them.
If we talk about decisions in the banking sector today, Cabinet approved ordinance to bring more than 1,500 urban and multi-state cooperative banks under supervision power of RBI. Shekharji, this is being seen as a major step to restore confidence of people that their money is safe.
Exactly, because these banks have been in the cooperative sector, some are multi-state cooperative sector, and they have a huge public deposits in them. By bringing them under RBI monitoring mechanism, this is to give investor confidence so that there is no scope for any kind of erosion of stake. All these big banks which are now functioning should be following some kind of an RBI supervision. So I think this is a very important decision, particularly regarding boosting the account holders, people who have saved money in these banks.
Cabinet today also approved a scheme for interest subvention of 2% for a period of 12 months to all Shishu loan accounts under Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana for eligible borrowers. The scheme will now incentivize people who will make regular payments of loans. So this is a major step which will help small businesses brace the disruption caused due to COVID-19.
Shishu loans are loans which are loans for income generating activities which are taken up to say 50,000 rupees. Now these loans are extended by mostly commercial banks, non-banking financial institutions and microfinancial financial institutions which are registered with Mudra Limited. So the ongoing crisis and subsequent lockdown that we have seen has led to severe disruption of business and small enterprises which are funded through the Shishu Mudra loans. So small business typically function on very thin operating margins, and the current lockdown had a severe impact on their cash flows, jeopardizing their ability to service their loans. So therefore, what the government has done is, as part of the Husbandry Bharat Abhiyan, the government has decided to extend this facility so that they do not face the burden for at least for the next 1 year. And this interest subvention would be payable for the months in which the accounts are not in the non-performing asset category. And this scheme is going to cost about 1,542 crore. And for borrowers who have been allowed a moratorium by the respective banks as part of the COVID regulatory package announced by the RBI, so this scheme would commence post-operation of that moratorium period, whatever the moratorium period has been there. Then beyond that period where they have difficulty, so this will take care of them. So this is basically formulated with a specific purpose to this unprecedented situation, so that the borrowers who are at the bottom of the pyramid, their cost of credit is reduced. So this will provide much relief needed to these very poor borrowers, thereby enabling the small businesses to continue functioning without laying off employees, particularly due to lack of funds. So by supporting small businesses to continue functioning during this time of the crisis, the scheme is expected to have a very positive impact, particularly in terms of employment.
Another decision was taken to declare Kushinagar Airport as an international airport. Now, this is going to boost tourism and provide impetus to economic development in the region. How do you see this is going to impact the development of Buddhist circuit as a whole, and it's going to offer improved connectivity and wider choice of services?
We have been getting a lot of tourists who are particularly interested seeing India as the land of the Buddha. So therefore, there is already an international Buddhist tourist packages that are available. But the whole problem has been connectivity. Either they have to go to Kathmandu and then they have to travel here, or they have to reach Varanasi and then reach where Lord Buddha had spent his childhood and is also the period when he attained his nirvana. So the government's idea is that the nearest point which connects all these places is Kushinagar, which is an important place. And Kushinagar particularly is a known place where he got his Mahaparinirvana. This is regarded as a very sacred Buddhist pilgrimage center. And pilgrims come from all over the world, particularly from the Southeast Asia and Far East, the countries like Japan. Kushinagar itself is dotted with several other Buddhist sites like Saraswati, Kapilavastu, then Lumbini. So this development of a Kushinagar airport will ensure that the big aircraft can come bring in more tourists, and they can land in Kushinagar and visit some of these Buddhist heritage places in Nepal as well as in India. So therefore, today the government has given a clearance to declare the Kushinagar airport as an international airport, which means this would mean lengthening the runway to receive wide-bodied aircraft like Airbus. Because all over the world, there are 530 billion people who say they are practicing Buddhists. So this is going to improve connectivity and wide choice of services for these air travelers, because on any given day, the estimate is 200 to 300 devotees come from Thailand, Cambodia, Japan and Burma. This is going to provide direct international connectivity to Kushinagar, and it will see a big increase in foreign and domestic tourists, and this will actually help in the hospitality sector in that region.
If we talk about decision in the oil and gas sector, today additional investment for further development of Shrey oil and gas project in Myanmar was approved, and this is going to strengthen energy bridges with neighbors. How do you look at this?
We are already working on two gas blocks in that country, Myanmar, and that is A1 and A3 gas blocks. We have been working there. So today's cabinet decision is to approve additional investment of about 909 crores by the ONGC Videsh Limited toward development of these, particularly the Shrey oil and gas project in Myanmar, and participation of Indian PSU in oil and gas exploration in neighboring countries is part of India's Act East policy, which our Prime Minister announced soon after he took office in 2014. And this will also encourage for us to what is called developing energy bridges with our neighbors. So this is an important decision which has been taken, and ONGC Videsh, that is OVL, has been associated with exploration of this particular gas project in Myanmar since 2002. The ONGC is part of a consortium actually of companies from South Korea, India and Myanmar, and apart from that, GAIL is also a co-investor in this project, and so far already the OVL has invested about 3,949 crore. The first gas from this project was received in July 2030, and the indications were that the production had reached a kind of a plateau December of 2014. So those blocks can be further developed, improve the gas production there. So this is one of the important decisions at a time when we are strengthening our bonds with those countries for both for strategic purposes and as well as for meeting the energy requirements.
Thank you, Shekharji, for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Union Cabinet decisions. The participants were Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and AIR special correspondent Mattu JP Singh. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.